All right, moment of silence, followed by the Serenity We prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. Yes, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Real raw recovery. And it's physical distancing style, which for you and I makes no difference at all because I'm in Newcastle, Ontario, and you are
Bangkok, Thailand.
Bangkok, Thailand. Yeah, so this is a different world we live in today.
All of a sudden.
In terms of all of a sudden, yeah. And yeah, I've gone through some fearful moments and felt fear from other people and sensed fear around the world. And I really want to say that this, the fear is real, but I mean, you know that you know very well that I'm always being the guy with the glasses half full guy, and I really believe that sort of briefly mentioned this before we got on here that maybe it's kind of like a correction. It's a correction. It's the world correcting itself and allowing us to be, get back to the basics of helping each other, being loving and tolerant, and connecting with other people at a deeper level than we have been, and sort of helping us to get our priorities straight and find out what's really important. And what's really important, I think, for us as social animals is staying connected and sharing the love, right? So maybe this is Mother Nature's way of correcting that, and giving us a big collective shake and saying, here we go. We need to reset our priorities, and when we come out of this, I believe that we're going to be a much better place for it. I'm sensing that. I'm sensing that. People are talking about different things today than they were a couple of weeks ago. You know what I mean?
For example?
Well, for example, it was all about, how can I really, I mean, basically it's people are talking about, business opportunities and making money and they're not talking about social, like being socially connected or disconnected. They're talking about other things, right? People are running a lot of people running around, and we're stopping. We have to stop. Here where we are in Canada, it seems that everybody is it's everybody that I know, and from what I can tell, it seems to be most people are really respecting the physical distancing, and that's causing us to stop. We're at home. We're staying with those who are very close to us, and connecting. I'm making lots of connections on FaceTime and with the Zoom AA meetings and stuff like that, and Zoom other meetings, Zoom meetings, period. And at first I thought to myself, well, yeah, a Zoom meeting, that doesn't sound really exciting. It doesn't sound all that connecting. But you know what? Once I started doing them, I started realizing that, yeah, it's great. It's yeah, man, I'm hearing people's stories and hearing where they're at in this time, and and I'm hearing people, trying to work through their fears and coming out the other side and connecting with new guys, and it's good. I see it as a good thing. Obviously people, who are getting sick and dying, that's not a good thing. And but if we, the more we practice this, you know, the physical distance, but still having social connection. I think that's what I'm getting to is a key for me right now. Is like I've been going to a couple of these Zoom meetings a day, FaceTiming a sponsee maybe at least, well, probably twice a day, uh, and yeah, it's good.
That sounds good.
Hmm. And for you, you know, and as an artist, as you were saying, like, you know, that you're parked in your apartment, you're working on your art, and you're in the zone that way. And so life hasn't changed a great deal for you, except for probably you're staying inside a lot more than you would normally would. But is that what you're finding?
So for me, like maybe worth sharing. I think that there's tremendous value in, for example, going on to online meetings and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I really go back to my counsel. Like I really count on you to get grounded. And I've just noticed this meeting is take even prior to us opening up. Like I needed to get into the headspace of opening up,
Yeah.
and figuring out where I'm at and what do I want to talk about. And I, I like to think about what do I want to discuss, and um, directing the conversation from my end, what's important and what's not. And so I feel like maybe when I have, because I've done this probably for the last, especially living in Thailand, when I hit a major hurdle or have like some major issue, I don't just run to a meeting. I don't always just want to hear random people share their thoughts and feelings. I don't always
Mm-hmm.
find value in that, and I don't always find value in people uh, just flapping their gums. Like it's not always the most valuable tool for me. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I have certain people that, and I have noticed, yeah, like this last week, I've reached out to a few people, um, just because I want to see how they're doing. So I called a friend, and I reached out to a couple people first on social media, likely to set up a time to talk. But
Mm-hmm.
I do that because I want to engage with those specific individuals. In this case, they all happen to be sober as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm my not my message, but just what works for me, and it has worked for me, especially like with some crazy crazy stuff. Like even like when shit hits the fan and when things are status quo and when things are really good, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I get a lot out of like um, connecting with people, A, that know me, and B, I know them. So A is people I have a foundation with, because that to me is really valuable for my mental stability. Is not necessarily um, avoiding new people, because I don't think that's entirely uh, um, wouldn't say healthy, but entirely, like there's a lot of value in new people, of course. But I just feel like I have like there's like 5 to 10 like core people that I would like, if, especially in a time like this, where if I'm going to sit down and converse on the computer with somebody, it's somebody that I really want to speak with, and that's how I
Mm-hmm.
dedicate my time. And hopefully, it's very
Mm-hmm.
valuable for both of us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Not just in keeping sober. In fact, that's quite far from my consciousness, but for stability, mental stability, uh, emotional, even sobriety. I'll use that word, like my emotional well-being. And I just personally would aim at that, where it's like, okay, I got these like 7 guys that I'm going to keep close ties with, especially now that the world is shifting dramatically. And there's not like, and maybe I will feel like tomorrow, maybe I'll say, hey, I'd like to jump on a 12-step meeting on the computer and hear what people are going through and hear their experience and some of their spiritual wisdom. And, and that might be of value to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a very healthy element of going to a meeting, period. So I won't say otherwise, but I'm just from a different angle is like, okay, especially now, and maybe by me kind of saying this, and maybe I was hesitating to say it earlier, because maybe I will reach out to a couple of people that are not just maybe for more quote unquote their benefit, just to say I'm thinking about them, and then let's set up a call and see how they're doing. And that might be
Mm-hmm.
a selfless kind of behavior, just to check in. And because I believe that, fuck, I'm really good at solving other people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
The best.
and yeah, but no, but, and what all I mean is just about coming back to like getting grounded. And I feel like I'm a good anchor. So not necessarily
Yeah.
solving trivial problems, but on a level of just like, because I was talking to one guy and he told me about, he was thinking about getting a gun.
Right.
And so like, that's just like, so that's really easy for me to solve because my panic has not reached there. I've thought about like,
Right.
okay, like if people get the disease in I live in a condo of 300 people, or a condo,
Right.
an apartment in a third world country. So I
Right.
do want to be prepared for that. If there's people that go completely ape shit, that
Right.
I can just, I don't lose sleep over it, but I don't want to be like, there's certain ways to deal with that. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
like,
this isn't late Night of the Living Dead we're talking
not
about
yet,
here, where zombies are gonna.
not yet.
I don't think it's okay. All right.
No, I know. So
I
you
don't
have an
think you're going there. Yeah.
so there's nothing wrong with having an optimistic approach, and it's of great value. But all I'm saying, like,
Right.
so I'm just really good at seeing both ends. I'm seeing
Yeah.
like camping down, wearing all camouflage, and shooting people
Yeah.
if they come up like near your doorstep. And then I'm
Uh huh.
seeing your approach
Right.
of like like give it 2 months and we're all back to, and our stock market's gone up and we're all eating just fine. But
Right.
I think it's just important to see both sides. So when someone tells me they're going out and rushing to get a gun, like, it's important to like just kind of hear that out and point out that there are reasons to relax,
Yeah.
and there are
Yeah.
reasons to have anxiety, and there are reasons to like make the best decision for you and your family. And and how can you, and then it's always important, like a tool of the program is like, how can you also be useful to others in this
Mm-hmm.
time. So like it's about getting grounded. I'm really good at helping with other people with their kind of like their thinking, and just hearing them out and guiding with just the like using the whole deck of cards. I don't believe in like cherry picking, because I do believe that the United States might go through a major crisis where
Yeah.
I think Canada will be like, so this is where I'm pretty like, I think that's why I'm pretty level headed. There's not enough people in Canada for it to explode. There's just not, like, you like the stress, like besides Toronto, like there's no real threat for people losing and not having money and not going to be able to eat. In the United States, you have a lot of mental health issues and um, a far higher level of drug dependency and and
Poverty.
and and poverty. Yeah, like they're basically third world as far as I'm concerned. And
Yeah.
they're not arresting people already in Philadelphia. There's been a report that says small crimes will not be investigated at this time. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm listening to podcasts where people are like having stores have never owned a gun before, and now they're purchasing guns because the police are not focused on that. And you can imagine in
Wow.
Philadelphia, shit is not the same as Newcastle, Ontario.
Right.
So it's just fair
So
to be like, and
yeah.
that's, but
Okay.
that's my point of when the guy says I'm going to go to bed. But I clearly was like, you don't live in Philadelphia, dude. You live in like, you live like, you might run into a guy who's upset because he didn't get toilet paper, but you're not going to run into a guy whose whole life has been fucking literal hell, and with not, and now the gates have opened where you can do what you like, where you just have this new like chaotic riot mentality. You won't have that, especially right now where you're living. So I just feel like I bring a valid, like conscientious, like just honest, just flat out, like no one's going to be rioting in Whitby, Ontario yet, because it's just, you don't have that stew, you don't have that mix.
Well, yeah, I think that Canada's a different, because type, it's a different spot. Like really Canada, the way we're constructed and our social values and everything else, we've been taking care of our own for a long time, and we're not. I think that Canadian government is in a place where we can take care of ourselves. We can take care of ourselves and maybe help some others, but we're not in a really bad shape. It's, for those of us who live in Canada, I'm grateful to be able to live here, and
Right.
then and so, um, but at the same time, I think that things are going to be okay. I mean, there's always going to be little pockets of crime and little pockets of this, that, and the other thing. But I just, the focus here, like if I keep my focus on what's important or what's real for me, then I'm going to be okay. And I like to harken back to this, page 15 in Bill's story in the big book here. He talks about, you know, my wife and I abandoned ourselves with enthusiasm to the idea of helping other alcoholics to a solution of their problems. It was fortunate for my old business associates remained skeptical for a year and a half, during which I found little work. I was not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment. So he's in self-pity and resentment a lot, and hasn't worked for like this probably describes a lot of people who are going to be going through this situation, right? This sometimes nearly drove me back to drink, but I soon found that when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. Many times I have gone to my old hospital in despair. On talking to a man there, I would be amazingly lifted up and set on my feet. It is a design for living that works in rough going. So it's a design for living that works in rough going. And what I found is when I've ever been in rough going, I latch onto a newcomer, somebody who's new in recovery, and spend time with them, and it just changes my perspective entirely. Because those of us who have been sober for a long time are incredibly blessed, and we're in a place that like is beyond belief, really, when you think about where we're at. And then when we talk to a newcomer and we see where they're at, it helps take us back to where it helps to reinforce that what we're doing is right. That's good for our you know our spiritual emotional constitution. It helps us to be in a good place. It's really hard to be in self-pity when I'm living in gratitude and helping other people, right? It's hard for me to be in fear when I've got a lot of faith. So if I'm looking for ways to be helpful, ways to help other people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be working with a newcomer. Can pick up some groceries for the elderly lady down, in the complex that I live in, right? It can be a lot of different things that I can do that's going to get me out of myself, get me out of my self-pity and fear, and help me to be in a good place. And you know what? After being on those meetings yesterday, after doing what I did yesterday, I feel good today. And so today I'm going to be hooking up with the sponsee and going through the book and going to another Zoom meeting today, and maybe one tonight. And yeah, I know that just doing that stuff, and it's keeping me in a good place. It's allowing me to stay in a good place. And so, I got a choice to keep doing what I'm doing, you know, asking for help every day, which I do, doing my my series of prayers that I do, doing my daily review, which I do, helping other people, which I do. And as a result of that, man, I'm in a good place. And no matter what's happening in the world around me, I can be in a good place. I don't have to live in fear. But I have to do, you know, there's a few things that I have to do so I don't have to live in fear. And I mean, everybody's got their own way, right? You've got your own way of doing things. And I just think for me, this is, I think it's essential for me to get out of myself, because I can get locked in my self-pity and fear. I can get, you know, I can get absorbed into my thoughts and lose myself and go on crazy tangents and be very unhappy. And I don't want to be that person. Because really, ultimately, I look at it like this. Ultimately, it's going to unfold the way it's supposed to, whether I like it or not. I've got no control over how things unfold in this world. It's going to be what it's going to be. And my job is either to fight it or accept it, right? God's will is what it is. And you know what? If zombies come onto my balcony and attack me, I'm not going to have a gun. I guess I'm going to go get eaten by zombies, because I'm not going to go out and get a gun, because I don't believe in that. That would just multiply my fear by 100 times. So that's not what I'm doing. I look at it like, if that's if zombies are crawling up my balcony to eat me, that's God's will for me, man. I'll be remembered as, hey, there's Joe. He's the guy who got, there's the picture of Joe. He's the guy who got eaten by zombies.
I kind of find it fascinating that you would say that's God's will for me.
Yeah, you know what? That's God's will for me. Because what are you going to do? Fight you? Because God either is or he isn't. What is my choice to be? Right? What is my choice to be? My choice is that he is. That's it. End of story. So I trust God. If I trust God, then I don't have to have fear about anything else, do I?
It's not about fear.
Well, it is about fear. God, you know, there's a lot of fear going on around here.
No, but just speak for yourself and me. Like, just have a conversation with me.
Okay, I am. Right. I'm having a conversation with you, and I'm telling you that this is my way of dealing with anxiety, fear, self-pity, anything else. If I go to God, then I don't have to have that stuff. And you know what? I feel pretty good right now. I'm not living in fear. And when you tell me stories about people that want to buy guns because they're worried about, you know, I mean, I immediately want to go, that's ridiculous. Trust God.
But maybe God's telling you to get a gun.
Yeah, well, if he is, he's not telling me that. He hasn't told me that yet. That really does not, I can't imagine the God of my understanding thinking that it would be a good idea for me to get a gun. I just can't imagine the God of my understanding going there. That's not the God of my understanding. Not at all. You know, the God of my understanding is about love, tolerance, compassion, and connection. That is the God of my understanding. Gun does not represent any of that. Any of that. Gun reminds when I mean, that's just me, right? When I think about gun, I think about hate, killing. You know, that's not love and tolerance and connection and compassion. That's not what it is, man. It's not what it is. I don't live in the wilderness and hunt my food for a living. If I did, then I'd probably have a gun. I live in, you know, in a society where I don't have to hunt. Not today anyway. You know, the only reason I would ever have a gun is if I hunted, and I don't hunt. I got a problem with killing animals to begin with, but I don't hunt. So why would I have a gun?
I understand that,
That
but
doesn't
just on the opposite end,
doesn't bring.
why would your God want you to get eaten by zombies? You said that.
I don't think that God would want me to get eaten by zombies, but if I did, that would be God's will. I don't think there's going to be zombies crawling on my balcony and eating me, but if that happens, that's God's will, and I'm not going to go get a gun to prevent it.
This is an interesting topic.
I'm going to trust God more than that, my friend. That's you can do whatever you want. Anybody can do whatever the hell they want, but I'm not going there. I'm going to have faith that everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to have faith that the God of my understanding, which is love and tolerance and compassion and connection, is the God that's bringing that to my life. And if I were to get a gun, that would be like cutting off that flow and saying, Joe is going to take over. God, enough of you. Joe's got this. And Joe's going to be Joe, the gun guy. He used to have fear, but now he just shoots everybody that gets in his way. No, he's not worried about zombies crawling up his balcony because he's got a gun.
So there's a couple things about this.
Yeah.
First one is, I'll read this.
Mm-hmm.
There is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation.
Right. Herbert Spencer, page 568, I believe.
Yeah. So, and the second thing is, you got to remember, I'm two things. I'm not convincing you to go get a gun. Second thing is, I'm not convincing myself to go get a gun. My thing is, what made me kind of go further down this rabbit hole is that you said, I guess it's God's will if I get eaten by zombies. So rather hypothetical and rather ridiculous, but I just don't, the reason why I'm talking about this now is because I do not share that sentiment. I don't, in fact, I'm literally on the furthest possible spectrum of that statement in my life today. Like, I do not play around that kind of game. I don't like it. I really disbelieve in it. I don't believe that. I believe I have as much doing to the great master plan as God does. It's not all or nothing. There's no game. I don't like playing those games with my mind, and I don't, because I've done it, and I've just kind of come on the other side where it's like, I don't like it. And one kind of, what you like, I'm a little ignorant, but there's a bit of an understanding of, like, you know, who had a lot of faith that everything was going to be all right, and if you just stick to like going within, it'll be okay, was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs did not believe in modern, like he didn't go for an operable, or like his cancer was operable and he decided not to. And it's kind of like, and I'm not even going to say, well, again, like, you got to remember, I'm not convincing you to get a gun. I will not have a gun, as far as I know, in the near future.
Because, yeah.
But you got to hear me out. But what struck a chord with me is that I don't just turn this all over, because that's not how my brain works. And to fight that and to pretend that that's logical just doesn't, I can't relate. And I don't want to relate. I love having a dog in the fight. I love being able, like, Tyler, what are you going to do here? Okay, I don't know. Well, sitting down, pray about it, maybe get your head level. Fine. Agreed. Add some meditation in there. Pray to whatever fucking gods you believe in, and then go do what you're going to do, man. Like, get your shit together. Don't start imagining lightning bolts are coming from the sky to take care of the zombies for you. It's not how it works. It just doesn't.
Yeah, you
And
know,
you can't
yeah, right.
listen to me.
But you're okay.
Listen to
Okay,
me.
yeah, okay,
You
yeah.
can't
Listen.
convince me otherwise because I have so much evidence to say the contrary, not to defend what you're stating. There is no God and there is a God. It doesn't matter. It has no relevance on anything. So you just have to find a way for you to digest life and manage yourself as best as you can. And if you have to tell yourself stories like I'm not the actor or I'm not the director, like however you have to do that to manage your brain, because your brain's going to feed you all kinds of thoughts and all kinds of emotions are going to come from those thoughts. You have to be in charge of that. You have to figure out how to manage your brain. That's up to you. If that means you need God to help you sort out your thoughts and your brain, then that's great. And God, and then if you need to go within and do different practices and join different clubs and groups in order for you to manage your brain, that's great, because at least you're getting control of yourself. At least you're being able to manage your life so you don't fall off the rails. And then the wonderful thing about AA is it gives you a design for living, so that because people with their brains don't really know what to do with themselves and they can't conduct in a decent life. So when you grasp onto some rules and regulations for how to obey yourself, just like the Bible, then you can kind of be a productive member of society. And that is beautiful. But my point is, just know what you're fucking doing. Just make sure you make sure everything's on the table and that you don't play games with yourself. So for me, if all of a sudden there was complete havoc on the streets, which is just as probable as not happening. But sorry. I believe that it's a lot more probable we'll get through this and there won't be havoc on the streets. I'll backpedal there. I'm just saying that if there was havoc on the streets and people were looting and there was a lot of fear to go out to 7-Eleven, then maybe I would be more inclined to carry a pocket knife. I'm raised by you. I'm not a huge I'm not really a huge gun advocate. I can't see myself pulling a trigger into someone's brain. That doesn't resonate with me. However, I'm not going to go to 7-Eleven when I know there's looting, robbing, raping, pillaging outside and not try to be smart about it and go, oh, well, I'll just go and whatever happens, happens. No, absolutely not. Will that ever be like, I just won't let myself, God or no God, say that kind of fucking mumble bumble bullshit. I won't play games with myself like that. I just won't. It's unacceptable. It's dishonest.
So, okay, all right. So I have a choice between I can live in fear and I can live in faith. I make the choice to live in faith. When I make the choice to live in faith, I don't live in fear. I don't worry about shit like zombies coming on my balcony, and I don't worry about whatever the hell might might unfold in a state of craziness. And you know what? I don't even know what death is, right? So if somebody were to come up to some zombies were to come up to over my balcony and attack me and kill me, I don't even know where that is. I don't know what that's about. I don't know anything. All I know is that when I have faith and I trust the power of my understanding, then I'm in a good place and I feel comfortable and I can live in my own skin and I don't have to live in fear. When I live in fear, I'm not ever at ease. I'm in a horrible place. I'm not happy. I can't even connect with people because I'm always so self-absorbed and worried. And like, I don't want to be that anymore. I've lived in fear for a while, for periods of time, and I don't like it. So why would I want to go there? So if I'm getting a gun to get zombies off my balcony, I'm living in fear, and I'm not going to go there. And you know what? I would believe that if that's the way that it goes for me, that zombies crawl up my balcony and go, that's it. I'm sorry, but that's it. I'm going to have to accept that. I'm not going to go to a crazy a 7-Eleven where people are attacking and killing. Obviously, but I have enough sense of self-preservation. I'm not doing that. We're all going to make the decision on what's good and what's not. We find a place to go, you know, in an apocalyptic scenario. We'd find a place to go where it's the safest to go, and we'd keep journeying, go to the mountains, and find people who are living in a community like myself and living off the land, and we just go to a place where there's not that fear and insanity running the place. That's where we go. We'd flee rather than to go to that chaos. So that's never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. So I don't have to worry about it. Not going to happen. And if it does, that's okay. I don't know what death is. Maybe I die and I immediately see Spencer and my parents, and I don't know, everybody. I don't know. I know what it is. I know what to expect. I don't know how it's going to work out. And that might be okay. So I'm not worried about that. At the same time, I'm not going to expedite that if I can help it. But I'm also not going to go to a place of living in fear. So I'm so worried about it that I have to get a gun because I think there might be zombies coming on my balcony. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to allow myself to be in that fearful place. I don't want to be any part of that.
Okay, so now I'm hearing your point. I'm hearing that it's not so much, it's just about how you want to live your life with the absence of fear, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think we can drop the concept of zombies crawling it, and even dropping the gun. But I believe in healthy fear, and I believe that kind of my mind pings me when I should be aware of something, and then it's up to me how much I want to engage with that or how valuable that information is. And then often I need to check in to see if it has relevance maybe with another person. Like, here's my fear. How should I manage this? And then I get some advice or some guidance from people I care about to kind of guide me with that fear because it's pinging me. And most likely I want to be alleviated by it as much as possible. But like, for example, I personally sort of take it on a more real approach. I have some fear going on right now in my life, but it's prompting me to take action. It's prompting me to, I even wrote down in my journal/to-do book today about, okay, what are like these key things that have to get done? And that's in some element, it might not be the same fear like again, it's not the same fear we're talking about buying a gun and shooting zombie, but it's more of I'm afraid that if you don't do that, that there could be problems. Okay, right. So we're going to do that. Now, what do you got to do? Okay. Now, if the fear doesn't subside, then maybe I needed to go over it with other people that I value their opinion. I don't want just anyone's opinion on this. It's not for anyone to speak on. I don't want that. It just doesn't work for me. So what I do want is people that I think would be right for the job that I have in my network, in my
council.
Yes. But I believe that what I'm getting back to is that it's not about absence of fear for me personally. It's about getting pinged with these fears. And like, for example, a couple nights ago, I was reading into too much information on the corona stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to tailor my behavior. Like, if you want to be fearful, open up all news outlets and see what's going on. And they're doing a really good job at pushing fear. And if you want to feel fearful, but then there's like elements of like, okay, I don't want to do that today, but maybe I do want to do that tomorrow because maybe I want to be a little bit prepared of what's going on. Like if Thailand's changing laws or there's certain things I would like to be aware of that, even though it's going to create fear, it's still valuable that I need to know this information. And like, there's like all these kinds of things. So for me, it's not about, I don't want to be afraid, so I'm just going to lie in bed and whatever God wants me to engage with. No, it's like, I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to go about how I think I should execute everything. And then when I need support from God, from people in the fellowship, my counsel, when I feel like I need to be selfless and valuable to somebody else, like those are all like cogs in the wheel that I need to like figure out what comes into play when. And sometimes for me, one of the cogs is, like, okay, this is causing fear. Why? Not, I don't want to be afraid. I guess I would say I don't want to be, but I'm never gonna. I've never personally just go, oh, I'm not afraid. Like there's gonna be times where I feel fear, and for me that's like a messaging board or like a blinking light on my circuit that I need to look at and see what's going on there.
Yep. No, I agree. See, there is I believe there's healthy fear. There's fear. I mean, we're never going to be fear free. I mean, that's not. I don't think that's in the human DNA to be fear free. But it's also to be consumed and to live in fear is not a place where I want to be. And so that's what I'm talking about. And I take certain actions. You can take certain actions, and we talked about this before. I'm not going to take those actions because that will precipitate more fear. And I agree. If I would have watched like the freaking news 24 hours a day, I'm going to be living in fear. So why would I do that? I love those Zoom meetings because it gets me out of that crazy cycle, right? Because I can get absorbed in that. I can, geez, how many coronaviruses, how many cases now in Canada? Oh, it's gone up 16 since the last time I checked. Or, I don't need to do that. That's not helpful for me. So anyway, I think we should probably wrap it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. God,
God.
grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference.